to create a powerful first impression so that you can wow your audience within the first 1 minute of your presentation. Hi, my name is Mahathir and let me share with you 6 powerful opening techniques that you can start using. The first opening technique, and that is question. Now, the power of question is such that when you ask a question, there's almost a guarantee that the audience will respond to that question. Now, here's a pro tip. When you use question, use it strategically. If you are in a room with a lot of audiences, use closed-ended questions. Questions that come up with a yes or a no response. But if you're in a smaller group and you want them to start talking, use open-ended questions where they can reply with longer sentences. So an example of a closed-ended question would be, how many of you here would like to make $1 million by 30? So you get an audience to respond with either a yes or a no. So they could hands up or they could hands down. An open-ended question would be, what would you do today to make $1 million by 30? So if you see the difference there, one responds yes and no, the other one responds with a bigger and a wider range of answers. The second technique is quote. And now, quotes put you in a position of credibility. It adds value to your speech. So for example, I could start off with this. If you can speak, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can change lives. There's a quote by Rob Brown. Now imagine when you see people starting off like that, you immediately position them as a person who knows what they're talking about. So try that technique, quote. The third technique, and that is stories. Stories has been proven to engage the audience. At a young age, we are always attracted to stories. So in the next presentation, make sure you add in an element of stories as your opening. And you'll look something like this. At a young age, I was living in a very poor country and I didn't know what to do. But one day, a mentor came up to me and that's when my life changed for the better. So this is an example, right? When you use a story, people immediately get drawn into what you have to say. So number 3, story. Number 4, and that is startling fact. Now, why did I say startling fact and not just fact? A fact is just sharing information, sharing data to the audience. But a startling fact is sharing data or information to the audience, but you want them to feel something from those data. For example, I could say 650 million people are obese. That's just a fact. But now let's turn it into a startling fact. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that in 2016, 650 million people are obese? 2 years later, 2.8 million people died from being obese. So I ask you, what can we do to drop those numbers? Now you see that? The way that we make the fact now scream a story, scream an emotion, that is what we call a startling fact. The 5th technique, and that is analogy. An analogy is basically making a comparison between 2 different things and trying to make a connection there. So for example, you could say things like this. Eating junk food every day is like putting engine oil into your car's petrol tank. It rots from the inside out. Now, an analogy, you can see that, right? You're trying to make 2 different things connect and coming up with a reason behind it. So try it out. Try creating an analogy from there. The last technique, technique number 6, and that is imagine. And this is by far one of my favorites. Imagine helps the audience to picture something in their minds. So it could look something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to imagine this. Imagine lying on a beach, not ever worrying about money, about your finances, about your future. Wouldn't that be the lifestyle that we all want? Or you could say something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. Imagine losing 2 kilograms every month without doing anything. So imagination helps to create an image in the audience's mind. So ladies and gentlemen, let's wrap it up. The 6 powerful opening techniques we had: question, quote, we had stories, startling fact, analogy, and last but not least, we have imagine. So try this out. Incorporate these techniques into your opening, and I guarantee you that you may be able to see some differences in your audience reaction within the first minute of your presentation.